You'll have to start another tab.
All right, 3 minutes and counting.
3 minutes and counting. I left EKU in '76, 2 years in Paola, Indiana as the band director, 2 years in Carroll County as the band director. Phil Shepard called me on July the 4th of 1980 and said there's a job open in Greenup County, Kentucky that's perfect for you. You gotta look at it. Got a job, don't need another one. Oh, come on. 3 weeks later, I'm the band director of Greenup County, and that lasted for 16 years, where I met my first wife. We're still married, but she's
planning on the second.
I don't know if I met the second one yet. I left Greenup County and went to Paul Blazer High School in Ashland and spent 9 years there, where I retired in '05 for the first time. I've kept my fingers in KMEA and music ed stuff. I'm blessed. People still call me to come and work with the bands, do the concert band judging stuff. I play a gig every once in a while, and I try to put my trumpet to my face every day. Because of Fred Peterson, I've had the life that I have. And Bob Hartwell is spoken. And that's it. Greg, you're next.
Okay. Teaching-wise, most of what I did was elementary general music, much differently than most people do it. I was blessed to study with Mr. Adam for 30 years, at the peak 16 lessons a year. Peterson and Adam are intertwined hopelessly in my brain. They're just the two of them together. And I'll pass it on to Nat.
Okay, I graduated in '74 from Eastern. Mr. Peterson was over the brass choir, and I think I was in the brass choir every semester. Enjoyed it tremendously. After I graduated, I went into teaching general music for about a year, and then for 28 years I was a band director. And now I'm working for Hearst Music along with some of the other EKU people.
How do I follow all that? I played my trumpet until 1987, basically for a living. And then, as we all know, I screwed up a lot of talent at Easter. I was not a good student, but thank God I could play the trumpet a little bit. And I've been in retail sales and tires for 32 years. And I have been married for 39 years, have 2 wonderful children and 2 wonderful grandchildren. I'm the luckiest son of a alive.
That's great, Mike. Phil?
Well, let's see. I graduated in '76 from EKU and walked out the door right into my first job in Moorhead, Kentucky at Brown County High School. I taught there for 9 years and then went to California, Tracy, California, just outside the San Francisco Bay Area for another 8 years, so a total of 17 years as a band director. While I was in California, I ended up teaching theater, dance, all the arts. And so that gave me some skills maybe that kind of led to the next job, which was Lexington, Kentucky, where I was a coordinator for fine arts. I did that for 10 years. Loved every minute of working with all the teachers there. And then went to the Kentucky Department of Education as the Arts and Humanities consultant for the state. Did that for 8 years and then retired the first time. And I failed my first retirement and went back to work full-time again at the Department of Education, and then finally retired from there a second time. And now I'm living in Lexington, fully retired, just doing what I want to do. Been married for 53 years to wife number one, and having a good time.
Jim Bowman, graduated from Eastern in 1975, but because I was the number 19 trumpet player in the building, I went into another field after graduation, joined the Marine Corps, and flew around helicopters in the Marine Corps. got out of that job and got a job with UPS flying other airplanes, and stayed around the Louisville area. Married to my first wife, and I got 2 children, 3 grandchildren, and we love being in Kentucky.
David?
I followed Jim right out of Eastern. I graduated in May of '76, right into the Marine Corps, and pretty much did the same thing. Followed Jim's path there, flew helicopters out in California, and probably the time lapse between the two of us was a blessing because they would not let us deploy together, and that prevented a lot of international incidents, I'm sure. Retired from the Marine Corps in '96. Flew in Turkey for a couple of years, running a corporate flight department, back in the U.S. flying freight, and again following Bowman right into UPS, and retired from there just a few years ago. Got 6, I think, grandchildren, all down in North Carolina, and life is great.
Kenny?
Ken Henry, I graduated in '75 from EKU. First year out of college, had the opportunity to go down to Cynthiana, Kentucky, and do a sub for Terry Bromley for a year. I'm thankful for that opportunity to be able to do that. Thank you, Terry and Tanya. After that, I got a full-time job. Got called by Steve Clements to come down to West Virginia. Spent a few years down there, and finally got back to Kentucky. Did a couple of years in Rowan County and a couple of years in Powell County. After that, I went to Ohio and up around the Portsmouth area and spent most of the rest of my career there, but then ended up going to another school system, Minford High School, and retiring from there. I married Dara Henry, who was a piano major at EKU, Dara Pavisi back then, and we have 2 grown sons, and I retired several years ago and still playing the trumpet, and very thankful to Mr. Peterson.
Okay, go.
Joe Richardson. I graduated in 1978. Went to Fern Creek High School, and you kind of tend to follow your heroes, and Jim Bowman and his brother Jay were heroes of mine, and ended up at 4 years later at the EKU. Graduated in '78. Realized that I had absolutely 0 musical talent. and literally a week before graduation decided I was going to go to medical school, which my Judy, married to Judy Lester, who was a flag girl in Hartwell's band, and we got married that summer, so we've been married 48 years this year. Went to medical school, did a residency, a combined residency in internal medicine and emergency medicine. Practiced emergency medicine for around 40 years at St. Joseph in Lexington. Was a medical director for the local EMS. Put together UK's helicopter program with the air rescue in Eastern Kentucky. Wrote a novel in 2013 that did fairly well. Retired in November of 21, and now I'm working more than I ever did. We invented a product that changes how the #1 surgery in the world is performed, and literally today, this morning, we sold that. So this is a big day.
Yeah. Good for you, Joe. Steve?
Graduated in '76 and taught instrumental music for 11 years. Then I got out of music and had an opportunity to go to Taylor Freezer Company. Did that for a couple of years, helped out a friend. Then ended up went to industry, working in a laboratory, doing testing, developed my metallurgical skills, and finished up at Ford Motor Company at the Kentucky Truck Plant. I think I was the 3rd metallurgist ever hired by Ford Motor Company in 100-some years. So that's finished my career. Married with Kim. Been married for 47 years. Occasionally play in brass groups, play at the church, and always think of Fred Peterson when I'm playing.
I'm Kimberly Clements, and I'm a music school dropout. I had was licensed, but I've been retired for about 8 years.
Steve?
Graduated, excuse me, graduated in 75. Spent 4 years in East Tennessee. Part of the scholarship that I went through on was that I had to teach in an underprivileged area. So I spent 4 years there, realized that although I loved music, I wasn't cut out to continue that. Went to work for the federal government, worked there for 33 years, retired, started my own consulting business. That lasted a couple of years, and then I realized I didn't like getting on airplanes at 6 a.m. in the morning and flying out. It's really a bummer. Been married to Kay for 51 years. Been together 54. And Mr. Peterson always was there when we needed him, when we didn't need him. He took care of us.
Yes.
I will say I've got 19 grandchildren. Yeah. Christmas is a hoot. And we have 3 great-grandchildren. Of the 22, only 5 are boys. I do not want to be around when they all hit that magic number. But we all, sitting here around the table, love the man. Couldn't ask for a better person.
That's right. I'm Tanya Bromley, and I probably go back as far or further with Mr. Peterson. I started taking lessons from Mr. Peterson when I was a junior in high school. Mr. Gravely got us connected, and you know, he got me in foster camp and became good friends with my parents. And the nice, great thing about Mr. Peterson, he's such a, like Craig and I were talking about, he never asked you to do anything that he couldn't explain it to you how you wanted it to do it, you know, and you always felt like you wanted to go in and do your best for him in whatever you did, and he was our greatest cheerleader. And it didn't make any difference whether it was trumpet playing or life in general. And those are the kind of teachers, you know, you remember that have an influence on your life. I taught in public school, mostly band, most of my career, 20 years in Pendleton County, and then my last 6 years at Tates Creek High School, doing the band there. After I retired from public school music, I did the trumpet studio at Transylvania University for 10 years. And while I was doing the trumpet studio at Transylvania, I was supervising student teachers for Moorhead in music for about 15 years. I've had the opportunity and privilege to work with Phil and a lot of other people through KMEA with music advocacy, and I think we've had an impact on public policy for the arts and for arts education in Kentucky, and I'm real proud of that. But that's basically, you know, I have been fortunate throughout my life, after about the first 10 years of teaching, to be able to keep playing. And that has been such a blessing in the brass bands, and I was fortunate that our church had an orchestra, so still to this day, there's nothing that makes me feel any better than playing the trumpet. And it just doesn't get better than that. It's great. So that's basically me, and I guess all of us just need to say a big thank you hello to Mrs. Peterson, and a big thank you to Mr. Peterson.
Oh, yes.
Phil?
One more thing that we want to share that we learned from Mr. Peterson. Are you guys ready? Don't miss notes.